Let's talk a little bit about education, because you didn't go to international school.
Yeah.
You didn't study abroad.
Yeah.
You've been in Korea the whole time, and you're speaking English like this, which is fantastic.
Thank you.
And you went to like alternative education.
Yeah.
Can we play out some of this? Because most people have this image of kids asleep on desks and hagwons and institutes, academies. What was your education?
My education was wonderful. Like, it was very different from average Korean high schools. It was on a hill.
Okay.
So you have to
Is that important?
walk. Yeah, that is not very important for an alternative school, but it means like having a good environment, like not in the cities, not apart from the cities. And
was it out of Seoul?
yeah, it's in 경기도 분당.
Okay.
It's called Ewoo High School. Yeah.
EU, like
Ewoo.
Oh, EU. Sorry, EU High School. Okay.
It means with a friend, with friends.
That's a nice name.
Yeah, it's really nice, and the whole atmosphere was about living together, not competing against or like competing for admissions. Who will get into the sky or the top universities, something like that. We were like, the classes were not to abstract it, I would say 구성주의적. You know about
구성주의 is like a constructivism.
Yeah. Constructivism, like not teacher based, it's student based. Like it focuses on student talking. Like teacher's main role is to make the students talk and ignite something inside their passions and stuffs. Yeah, and
how take us through an average day at Ewoo High School. Like, how big are the class sizes? What do you study? Do you do sports? I mean, I'm just curious because I have no idea. I can imagine a regular Korean school, but I can't see in my head Ewoo High School yet.
So, starting from the bell, do you know the school bell?
Yeah.
Da-da-da-dan-da-dan,
What time
we
is
didn't
the bell?
have that.
Oh, you didn't have the bell?
Yeah, we vote for the bell, and students could put in the 후보.
Yeah. Like a candidate or
Yeah.
something like that?
Like candidate. They could put in the candidate, and all sorts of bells come in, like, but not to offensive stuffs. Like,
So
not
your
too
bell was
offensive.
different every day or every week or something?
Not every day, every semester.
Okay.
And the bell for the lunch and bell for classes were all different. Like, in the mornings, there would be, do you know, Howl's Moving Castle?
Not by name.
Like, something like that.
Okay. Yeah.
It would have a variety of bells.
That's nice, though, I think. That makes a big difference, doesn't it?
Yeah, it also had the subway bell. What was it? Dun dun da da dun da 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 dun da da da.
That would give people trauma.
Yeah.
Especially the people
and
commuting.
That was voted the most for ending classes bell.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that enough for the bells and the classes.
Yeah.
We could select the classes, like I know the Korean high schools are changing to this kind of format. Like, you can choose whatever classes you want to take. But our high school was already having that since 19 years. For 19 years. Yeah. They had... Yeah. So you can listen to any classes you want, and small amounts of students are there, like maximum 20 people.
Wow.
But if the classes are like ethics, having ethics classes, the teachers would think that conversations between students are important, so they would put in third graders and first graders all in the same class, and we would have many students in the class. Yeah, the classes were not very restricted to formats or anything. They were very 자유로워, they're liberated, and our school doesn't like admissions exam.
Okay.
The 암기식 공부. So they would ban students to have a private academy.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So you were prohibited. You were banned from going to hagwons.
I didn't even go to English academy. This was just home learned.
Yeah.
And school learned. Yeah.
What kind of, before we talk about academy, you're allowed to do sports, I guess. Like you can still go to piano and take
there
piano
were
lessons.
Many sports in our school, but the problem was there were not many teammates. Yeah. There were, in 1 year there is about 80 students.
Okay. That must make you quite close to everybody, though.
Yeah, I know everybody in my school.
What kind of classes did you listen to? So you've mentioned ethics already. What kind of classes did you listen to?
My favorite
did you choose?
subject was poems, writing poems.
Okay.
Yeah, it was not about writing poems, but it was about expressing your authentic opinions, like something you wouldn't say back outside the public.
Okay.
There were very rough opinions by many friends, and I liked it because you wouldn't get that opportunity very much. Yeah.
No, it's a fabulous thing. So you had to write your own poems, or you had to express yourself. You had to put feelings and emotions or things down.
Yeah, you don't even have to have a format to writing a poem. You can just write anything, and you can just say anything in the class. It's
a very liberating thing to do, but it's very useful, I think, to be able to do that. I do that quite a lot, actually, whether I'm writing lyrics or poems, or it's really important, I think, to be able to get things out of your head and put them on paper, and it's very therapeutic to get these. It's like therapy, I think, but it's personal therapy. You don't need to go and say it to somebody or sit on a couch. You just need to do it yourself. I think it'd be quite scary to find out. Well, to find out what's inside you, because you don't know until you start. Right?
It's like Jekyll and Hyde. Jekyll and Hyde.
Yeah, absolutely. Were you good at writing poems? Did you enjoy that?
No, I was. I just wrote anything.
Yeah. That's the point.
Literally.
That's the point. That means you were good. So you did poetry. What else did you do?
Poetry, and then poetry was the signature class of our school because the leading teacher was our principal.
Okay.
Yeah, like in the average high school, the principal would be like some authority guy.
Yeah.
Like someone in a suit and like demands students to do something, like bans them. But my principal was like crying when students were being authentic, and he was really 공감ing.
Empathetic.
Yeah. He was really open, and that was the signature class. And other classes I would say let me think for a while.
Well, I'm also curious about the teachers, because this is a fabulous environment. So you had the principal there, but all the teachers must have been quite not your average high school teacher, I guess, to be teaching there. Were they all Korean?
They were not all Korean. Like in some English classes, there were some foreign teachers that would teach English, and Spanish.
Wow.
Yeah.
How did you get into this school, Isu? How did you get into this school? Because it sounds fantastic.
Yeah,
right? It sounds like wonderful. This is what I want my kids to experience. This is great.
Right.
But I'm just curious, in Korea, there's sometimes this, what would you call it? More 남들의 시선 or something, this gaze of other people. This it's kind of like nunchi, but you're always conscious of what other people are doing, and so to do something completely different like you did.
Mm-hmm.
How did you get into that school? Was it your parents' decision? Was it your decision?
Yeah, I didn't really know about this school
Oh.
at all. Like, I didn't even know that there were alternative schools in our country. But my mom knew it, so I was really lucky to have a person close to me that knows this kind of school, that it's very liberated and you can do anything you want, and the surrounding people all supports you in like this kind of high school. Yeah. My mom informed me about it, and I watched all kinds of there are many videos, YouTube videos, explaining introducing this school.
Okay.
So,
Ewoo High School.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is a mandatory subject to do 연극, a high school play.
Okay.
In this school.
Okay.
Yeah, heads up for your
I love theatre.
beautiful kids.
Yeah. That's what I did when I was at university.
yeah.
I did theatre.
I liked being in the theatre.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. So well done for your mum to getting you in there. When you went to university, where I met you, did you feel that you were different from other people, or did you immediately settle in? Because if you've gone through this special education and you're used to expressing yourself and your principal cries in class and the bell's different, your experience would have been very unique compared to everyone else's. Everyone is sabasa. Everyone has their own experience, but yours would have been rather different.
Yeah.
So when you went to university, did you feel different? Did you think that you were looking at the world differently, or did you immediately just adapt and you're the same as everyone else?
I think I'm getting both of those phenomena because when I first got into university, I clearly noticed that many students were not very passionate about directing their own studies. Like they would just be like an average university student. I'm so sad to put it this way.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not making prejudices or something, but they were immediately going home when the schools were over, and I would just sit there and ask professor for lots of things like I didn't really understand, and they would the friends the students wouldn't understand me. They would want to go with me to their homes, but I wouldn't go, so that was the big difference. But because I'm in this school I have been in this school for 1 semester, I'm feeling I'm getting very used to this kind of atmosphere. Like,
is that a bad thing?
I think it's a bad thing.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
What's happening? Tell me about this change. What's the adjustment?
Like back in my high school, I would think various ways to adapt one subject to another subject, like
interdisciplinary thought.
Yeah.
So
like,
important.
I would like use 인문학적 소양. I would use a philosophy to introduce calculus to my friends and put it in a film and show it to many of my friends. But this school, not trying to be mean or something, but this school it's just like a one-way direction. Like the professor teaches and the student just 수용, 습득,
they passively receive and acquire.
Passively receive the education that professor is giving. And many of the I was really expecting some interdisciplinary things because my 학부 faculty is a interdisciplinary faculty.
What's your faculty for people that don't know?
It's digital media, and it says the faculty is software interdisciplinary faculty, but it doesn't have a interdisciplinary stuffs. Yeah, it's just technology, receiving technology. Yeah. And it's not very useful for these days because we're getting more intertwined, globally intertwined, and we would need some kind of, active learning to figure this out.
What do you need? There's a really interesting question. There's so much I want to ask you. What do you need?
What do I need?
Yeah, what you said, in this global world, there's things that we need. We're not getting it at university.
Yeah.
What do you think you need? I mean, what is it that you want, you need?
Absolutely various opportunity to have a conversation between people. That would be the main and the first one. And a chance to have like what you said, thinking for ourselves, alone time, like not being in a competitive world for a long time. Yeah, a chance to think for ourselves, and a chance to understand humanity. Yeah.
It's not easy. I mean, like, I'm in my 40s and I'm still learning. You have to be humble, you have to read, you have to be passionate to understand these things. Let me tell you, I just finished this program during the summer, and one of my students, her name is Xiaoyuan, and she's from China, and on her exam paper at the top she wrote me a little goodbye message, right?
Okay.
And she was a wonderful student, and it was, I believe, a quote from, I think it's George Bernard Shaw. Please, if I'm wrong, forgive me. But she wrote at the top, "Dear Mr. David Tizzard, if I have an apple and you have an apple and we exchange apples, we both still have one apple. But if I have an idea and you have an idea and we exchange ideas, we now both have two ideas. So thank you." And I thought that was, I mean, I've heard of it, but I thought it was really nice that she valued this idea of being able to communicate and to be seen. And it's not just a sort of financial transaction or interaction, like I have knowledge, you've paid tuition, boom, boom, boom. But rather it's this two-way exchange of ideas, and that benefits everybody. I thought that was very nice. I thought it was very brave of her to put that on a paper.
Yeah, that is the 이상적인, the best way the education could be.
Yeah. It might be going that way. Sometimes it takes time, I think. Education is always changing. Yeah. Staying on this education, I just want to do Suneung, because you had this special education, and then you got into university, but you still did Suneung.
Yeah.
And now I think most parents would send their kids to, I know the current president is trying to change killer questions and all of this, and it's politics, but I think many parents send their kids to academies and things like that because of Suneung, because they're worried about but you had a unique education. You still did Suneung, and you still got into university.
Yeah.
What was Suneung like when you got there, going from this special education then to that test that all high school kids dread? Did you just like sing songs and happily tick everything, or did it crush you? What happened? Tell me about
I had
Suneung.
many mental breakdowns.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
And you retook it, right? You said, Jesu?
Yeah.
Once, twice?
Like 1 year of preparing for the exam.
Yeah, okay.
Is that make it 2?
How many times did you take Suneung? Once?
2.
Twice. So you did it and you weren't satisfied?
I did it when I was in high school, and as you expected, like I didn't systematically, like robotically did all this math stuff, so not many times, not a very short amount of time was there for me when I first took Suneung. And
was math the hardest thing?
yeah, that is the hardest thing, the math and the Korean.
How is I'm sure I know the answer, but how is the Korean the hardest thing for the Korean student? Google.
It is
you mean
hard.
Google?
Like,
Yeah.
it is hard for students who didn't read books that much, including myself.
Yep.
And because I don't really know why is it really hard, because I didn't had a really remarkable grades at Korean, so I can't say what is hard about that subject. But what was the question again?
There was no question. Math was the hardest thing, is what I was trying to ask. But then what I want to get at is this retaking Suneung Isu. Because the first time, I guess, a lot of students, they don't fail. They just want a higher score. And this might be a personal question, but like your decision to retake it, how does that work? Because it's not like in general, students don't fail Suneung. They just get a score, but they want more. They want a higher score.
I wasn't that student.
You wasn't that? Okay.
I failed at first
All
test.
right.
Yeah.
That means you failed the test. No university, nothing?
I could get into, not to Seoul, not to like advanced cities, just to what do you say, 시골?
Countryside.
지방? Yeah, countryside.
Yeah.
I could have gone to countryside, but as you know, countryside universities doesn't really have much of an opportunity to really reach out overseas. Or
do you think it might not suit you going to the countryside and drinking shike and taking I don't know, but you did it, but you decided to do it again. You didn't want the countryside.
Yeah.
No.
I thought getting into prestigious universities would help me earn more opportunities to really change this world. Because I really think I have a role in this world where I can make humanity be much better. Yeah, so I had this big dream, but I couldn't see this from, if I went into the countryside universities, I wouldn't have had many opportunities. So I decided to retook Suneung. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I first started to apply for Minerva, but it didn't turn out very well because Minerva has very many applicants. Applicants.
Yeah.
And then I didn't really went for Suneung. I went for 논술.
Okay.
Writing tests. Like, writing tests are more liberated. I use liberated so much. Liberated from the Suneung.
Yeah.
You can express in your own style, and you can write in your own style. And if the professors like what they see, like they could give me a pass. And so I didn't really get a heads up in the really dug into the Suneung directly. I went into Minerva and then writing and then Suneung. So
keep failing. It's so important. I think if you look at any successful people, they will have all failed many times along the way. And whether you look at whatever people might be your role models or whoever you look up to, Yeonjun. Yes, yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I got that. These people would have had countless failures.
Yeah.
You know from my stories I've told you before, my failures...
You wanted to kill.
have been really defining in my life. The failures are so important. Don't worry about the failures. How were your parents during all of this? During this education, during this retaking Suneung, getting into Seoul? I know it might be a bit personal to talk about your parents, but I'm just curious, were they supportive? Are your parents like really liberated hippies? Are they average Koreans? I'm just trying to get like how it works, how you got, you know, did they have a big influence on you, or they just let you do what you want?
Yeah, they definitely like a 50% influence on me. Like they are kind of a philosophers. Like I would want to put it like that, but not an official philosopher. Like they like reading books and like seeing worlds from various terms. And they were supportive of my choices. Yeah. When I wanted to know what countryside university I could get into by my first test scores, they were like, okay, we would give you the money to search for the schools. And yeah, they were very supportive on all the way. Lucky.
yeah, that's
I'm
nice.
very lucky. Yeah.
I think some parents find it as their own responsibility to drive their kids, or you know, the kids
the helicopter moms.
The helicopter mums, yeah. There are many different words for it, or they get some sort of 대리만족, or there's like I didn't get to do this, so you must do it, and it's very heavy.
It's very sad because they're relinquishing the dreams they couldn't achieve to their young kids who are independent, who can be independent.
That's why
it's very sad.
That's why it's very important for you to do everything that you want, so that when you do have kids and you get old, you don't feel some kind of regret about all the things you didn't do. You just let your kids do what they want to do. You feel content. Now, I would be I'm sure people would scream at me if I didn't ask you about changing the world, which you mentioned about 5 minutes or so ago.
Yeah.
Tell me about changing the world. Changing what part of the world? What is it just a feeling? Is there some kind of vision? I love hearing it, by the way. I'm really about inspiring young people and giving them hope and giving them the window of opportunity and possibility to see their vision of the future, not mine, but for young people to create the world they want it. Tell me about changing the world, Isu.
So my ultimate
vision, ultimate goal.
Ultimate goal is to make each people like really close neighbors. Like you can be authentic and they would be authentic, and like what you've said with the other Chinese students, as Chinese students, you can exchange any minds and ideas. Yeah, that is my abstract goal, and the way to achieve, this is part of my plan.
Good.
I would use a nudge, like an environmental nudge, to make people like behave that way. Like for example, I'm thinking of changing all of the 거주지. What do you say? Houses, and foods and clothes, the essential things. Like I would want to change all these essential things to being environmental friendly and
you need
very
해방적인, the liberated, emancipated, liberated.
All of the houses look alike in Koreans, like the tall apartments. Yeah, I would really want to change those to all different kinds of shapes, but not very apart from the environment that was already in it. Like I would use environmental stuffs, environmental 소재,
materials, resources.
Materials, resources, and would make a nudge, environmental nudge to people to talk to each other and realize how much they are interconnected and special.
Where does this vision come from? I'm wrong, but I'm imagining like hobbits in shires or things where they have little houses in grass. And I'm not big into Lord of the Rings. I'm not sure why that's the first thought in my mind. Does this, because it's interesting to me that you want to change the environment rather than change people's values. So you want to change.
That is very hard. Yeah.
But yeah, I think you're right though, because a lot of the time people's values or people's behavior, the reason that, for example, we might have different values, or you and your grandmother might have different values, is because our environments were different.
Not because... I'm not saying the reason is that... the main reason is because the environments are different.
But you want to change people's environments. That's your goal, yeah.
To be more sustainable and... have a lively conversation. Do
you know where you got this inspiration from? Did you read something? Did it come to you in a dream? Is it just naturally inside you?
Definitely from my high school and my high school environment and my studies when I was in high school. Yeah, my high school building was really different from other schools.
How do you really need to meet my South African friend Chris? He spent some time living in a kibbutz in Israel. You know, things like kibbutz and commune. You know, go and search up kibbutz.
Okay.
It's like communes where people live together and they all generate and share resources and things like this. Yeah, he spent some time living like that. His experience of it is fascinating to hear about. How do we get there? What are these first steps? So you have your ultimate goal, this ultimate vision. How do we start? What do we do? What do you need to do?
My first step would be, it would be very great if I could learn all this intricate subjects really intertwined together to achieve this goal. Like, you have to know how to 경영,
business.
Yeah, you have to know how to do the business, and you have to know how to architect and physics. And and you have to have a prediction. You have to have a good prediction of how the future might flow. Yeah, I would want it would be really great if I could learn all these 광범위한 very many subjects in my university or other institutes. If I could have this interdisciplinary knowledge, I would be really great. But if I can't have this opportunity or couldn't do it by myself, I would first start off with being the best expert of AIs, because AI is going to be a revolution, like 4차 산업혁명, fourth revolution.
The fourth industrial revolution, digital revolution.
The AI is going to be leading the whole future, so I would really want to be the most expert in that AI, and I would want to put this AI technology into the 거주지, the houses and our closest things.
Let's talk about AI and that in a minute. I think, well, if there's anybody listening that has expertise on these things, they might contact you. It's when you're talking about these communities, but also I think, Isu, that sometimes it's very easy to blame our situation. Well, if I was at this university or if I had this, and sometimes as you grow up, you realize that Santa Claus isn't real, and the professors aren't as smart as you think they are sometimes, and the politicians aren't as good as they should be, and you realize that the world is not quite what you thought it would be. And it's kind of, I sound like a Gonde now, I'm sorry, but
No.
it's up to us to go out and make something of it. It's up to us to go out and get that information, because beautifully we live in an open society.
Mhm.
There's no prevention of you accessing any knowledge on that phone or device now.
Yeah.
And it was Neil Postman who said in the book Amusing Ourselves to Death that it wasn't George Orwell with Big Brother, and it's not that. It's Aldous Huxley's Brave New World. It's freedom that will enslave us. If you give everyone so much freedom, they do nothing. They go home after the lesson. That you have every book on your phone, but you don't read them. It's the freedom that traps us. And I think there's some kind of truth in that we're waiting for somebody to order us to do something. But to do it ourselves, we need that. And then I was thinking about, I'm sorry, I'll stop talking soon, but in your vision of this life, maybe the low birth rate is a good thing towards getting that, because people aren't going to live like that if there's 50 odd million people, because your high school was quite small. It's a small community.
Yeah.
And it sounds like the vision you have is for smaller communities, not for 100 million people living in a city. That's why we have these big apartments, right?
Yeah.
If we have smaller, fewer people, smaller cities, then it's possible to live like that, maybe.
Yeah, but even if it wasn't a smaller village or smaller city or something like this, we are living in a very large apartments and stuff, and still the birth rates are getting lower. And yeah, but if the villages get smaller and if the communication can get a little higher and more advanced, maybe they can have they can be more responsible for their childs.
Yeah.
They could be more. They can grow more intelligent. The people can get more intelligent, and they can get more friendly with each other, and that could result in a good birth rate, I think. Yeah. This is just my vision is just a vague term.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to really be this way to make a sustainable environmental nudge. Yeah. So it doesn't have to be a small village. I'm having a very open mind. It can be anything.
Sure.
Yeah.
Don't be scared of having a vision, though. Sometimes, it's like, if I have a vision, then some people will say it's wrong. Have you put it down in words or art or poetry? Have you expressed it in any way? Because sometimes I feel that we often have ideas or feelings, nukkims or something, but expressing them, especially expressing them in persuasive ways, can be very difficult. And you can give people statistics and data, and you can give them logic. People don't respond to statistics and data and logic and things like this. And even moralizing, if you moralize at people, people don't respond to that. People normally respond to art and entertainment and stories and narratives and music. And have you thought about expressing this vision in some way like that?
I think not really, because I don't really have much of a skill or resources to do all of those things. Yeah. So I did.
Yeah.
You seem very disappointed.
I think that's the reason to do it. I was watching an interview with Lee Byung-hun, the actor. Mr. Sunshine and all that. And he said the reason he became such a good actor and the reason he was chosen to be an actor is that he had no skills. And so he was empty. And so when, if you pick up Photoshop or if you pick up Paint, if you pick up your digital programs that you use to create your art, sometimes having those skills, having no history is beautiful. And that's what you need to create something, because you're not burdened by all the knowledge that your professors give you or these things. You can just make something that's never been done or never been seen before. And that can be a good way. I want to ask you about Chat GPT and AI, right? Just because it's this new thing. And I was speaking to a friend of mine, Tongmun. She used to help me do subtitles on some of these Korea Deconstructed videos last year. She's now going to New York to study digital media. It's kind of what you're doing.
Yeah.
And she said that she sometimes talks to Chat GPT, like a conversation when she's bored. We were talking about it, and I said, if I'm doing research, I'll say, like, what is 구성주의? It's constructivism. I'll ask it questions, or tell me the 5 main theories of this, and it will tell me. She said she talks to it when she's bored at work.
Like a friend?
Like a friend. I'd never heard this before. That might just be her personality, but that amazed me that she wasn't using it as a research tool or as an assistant. It was more like she was using it as a friend. What's your take on this AI, this Chat GPT? Let me tell you one more story while you think about it. I couldn't believe it. My Chinese students, they had a phone on the table. You remember in our Duki Malagi class when it's really noisy and everyone's speaking? My Chinese students in the lecture, they would have a phone put down on a table, and it would hear, like my voice right now or your voice, even in a noisy room, and it would write it down in English and then automatically translate in live time to Chinese at like 98% accuracy.
That's great.
It's great. We don't have that in Korea. I've never seen that here. I've seen sort of Papago and Google Translate, but this live translation like that is the technology is phenomenal. I even checked that. I even said, Chairman Xi Jinping has weird policies. And all my Chinese students were like, no,
this personal. personal.
It's not a bad thing to say somebody has weird policies. But I was just checking it like that, and it did that as well, no problem. Yeah. So tell me about AI and digital technology from your young perspective. Where is it in your life? Is it good? Is it bad?
The technology itself is not bad or good, I think. But your question is kind of very vague. Like, what's my take on AI? Like,
Or is it around you at school? I mean, perhaps it's just because I know a lot of professors and they're worried about students using it to cheat on exams and to do these things. I'm just wondering, from a student's perspective, is it useful? Do people use it to cheat? Or is it just like using a new calculator, or it's not really interesting to you? We can talk about something else if you don't like it.
No, it's a talkable topic. Like AI isn't useless because it helps us in very many ways. Most importantly, it makes us like shorten the time. Like, it helps us earn time. And I think technology is for the effectiveness. Yeah, and the AI is really good at earning us time, so I think it should go on. Like, I think we should absolutely use this technology for our own good. But about what you've said in having homework done with an AI, that is not a good example to use this technology. So maybe education should move on to having assessing skills that humans only have apart from AIs. Yeah, and I think that those kinds of educations are really good.
No, I agree with you. It's hard to find what humans can do that AI can't. Because it always used to be like AI could do the mathematics and the science, but it couldn't write songs or write poetry or write your exam for you. But now I think it can.
Yeah,
I think
does.
Whether it does it well or not is a different question, but I think if you have a 5-paragraph writing assignment on something, you can ask Chat GPT and it will do it for you.
Yeah, but it shows, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like the depth and the chose of the word
Yeah.
and stuff. And I really, really hate doing. Are there really kids, students who does their homework with their AI? I don't know. But if the AI gets really advanced and it can measure the student's ability to write and write according to those skills, that would be a big problem. So, as I said, the education should move on to different directions.
No, it's good. I think it's going that way as well. AI will also give us our, look at this natural segue into the next topic. AI also gives us our MBTIs, Isu.
What?
AI gives us it shares with us our MBTIs, because we go onto a computer and we answer questions, and then the computer tells you your MBTI is EFNTPJ or something like this.
But
it doesn't come from a person, does it? It doesn't come from a one-on-one conversation.
You're talking about big data?
Well, yeah, I guess I'm talking about big data. I'm talking about the fact that we
Okay.
put things into a computer and it gives us a result. And I'm trying to get us now to the topic of MBTIs.
Okay. That's a smooth transition.
Yeah, I know. Thank you for helping me along with that. Do you know of course you know your MBTI. Do you have one?
But I'm not quite fond of talking about MBTIs. Yeah.
You wrote about it in the paper.
Yeah, I'm not really fond of it.
Tell me why you're not fond of them.
Because MBTI is certainly like a persona. It's clearly the same with a certain persona, MBTI. So the persona can be always the same. Like it sounds to me like when you're asking to me, what's your MBTI? It sounds to me like, what is your persona that never changes in any circumstances? Like, what is your, or like, what faces do you obsess on? Yeah, it kind of sounds like that. So I'm not really fond of it. Yeah, because your persona or your attitude changes every moment. Yeah. But if you insist on asking me what my MBTI is, yeah,
you don't have to say it if you don't want to be.
Really?
No, yeah, don't say it.
My MBTI changes every time I do the test.
Yeah.
When I'm sad, I'm INFP. When I'm happy, I'm ENFP. But when I'm with a person who's very outgoing and very intuitive, I would be INTJ to support that friend.
Okay.
Skills, yeah, I change every time.
I don't always know what all the letters mean. Korean people will understand you completely. So sometimes you're introvert, sometimes you're extrovert. That's what I got.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you're with other people, your personality changes again to bring out their personality.
Yes.
What's that last one that you talked about? You said that when you're with other people, it changes to ENTP. Honestly, I know I and E.
Yeah, every person knows I and E.
Yeah.
INTJ or ISTJ. I changed to ISTJ or INTJ when the other person is ENFP or INFP. So, should I explain to you what that means?
No, you don't have to. Explain to me this. How big are they in young people's lives today? From university and things like that. Are they common? Was it a fad that's gone away now? Are they still? Because I've heard they're in like job applications and people want your MBTI.
Yeah, that was a kind of a trend for a short while, but I think it kind of disappeared because it's a rubbish.
Yeah.
Like, why would you expect a person judge a person by their personality? Personality. So it's a big thing in Korea. It's still a big thing. It's a meme for us to ask ourselves, are you a T? Like with this with this.
Oh, there's a gesture with it as well.
There's a gesture. But
okay. Is it just for the T you do it, or you do it for all the letters?
yeah, it started from a T because
what does T mean?
T means like
Talkative?
you're not. No.
I don't know.
You think logically, not based on feelings.
Oh, okay, like 논리적인.
Yeah.
You're rational.
Like when somebody talks to you, oh, I was sad today because there was a car crash in front of me, and the person who has an F personality feeling would say, oh, how did you feel? Like were you sad? Like, it focuses on feeling, but T person would be like, what charges were against those? Did you got some money out of it or something like that? And because they're acting very funny and not very relative, some people would say, are you a T?
Yeah.
Oh my god, why are you so being logic? You can just 공감 to me. Empathetic. You can be empathetic. Yeah. So that was a meme, and that is a very close meme. From a close present. What do we say? Yeah. Phenomenon.
I can see why you're a little bit skeptical, or you don't trust MBTIs, because it does categorize people into sort of black or white, into rational or feeling people.
Yeah, it segregates people.
Yeah, it does, and it puts a label on them. And yeah, it's a bit worrying.
Yeah, but when I was in high school, I was kind of obsessed with MBTIs. Yeah.
Okay.
That was the thing I wrote in the column was from a 교훈, from a teaching I've learned from being so obsessed with MBTIs. Yeah.
What does being obsessed with MBTIs mean? Does it mean like you ask other people, or you judge the world on it, or you write it on your note? But how can you be obsessed with MBTIs? How does that work?
Like, I don't know if you can empathize with this kind of view. Like, if you have some kind of style or some kind of your own type, you would really favor it, and like a fandom. Like, oh, my type is ENFP, then I'm energetic, I'm feeling based, and I can make everybody smile. Oh, I like that. And the person who's really immersed in that MBTI would stress this persona for so long, and then they would have a mental breakdown, like Carl Jung said. Yeah.
It's interesting, the persona and the Carl Jung, because this is all BTS, and then Tomorrow by Together is also the Hive, the Bangshi. Do you know Yeonjun? Do you know his MBTI?
Yeah.
Yeah, what's Yeonjun's MBTI?
He's ENFP, but he says he's going to INFP.
Okay. Yeah. Sometimes I guess they say that because then the people that like E's will like him, the people that like I's will like him. Yeah.
Like, people are so into MBTIs these days. They like it when the topic goes into personality traits.
Yeah. But, I remember first arriving in Korea, and people would ask me about my blood type. And I'd never heard about it before. Yeah. And they would, David, what's your blood type? And I would say, red. They would just look at me and that was a terrible joke, David. But I had no idea, and they would judge people based on blood types.
That's totally same as MBTIs.
Yeah, it's the same. Everyone always said to me, David, I think you're blood type B. They would say that to me all the time.
Oh,
and I was like,
that's offensive.
Yeah, I know. They were just calling me a bad boy. I was at Hanyang Starfield on Sunday, which is a big shopping mall. For those it's a big shopping mall, and it's really new, and it's really modern, and it's got department stores and high-end things and toy stores, and in the middle of it there's a saju. There's a fortune teller place. This fascinated me because even though Korea is getting really modern and it's getting all this kind of technology and AI and hyper stuff, in the middle of this brand new shopping mall, there was a fortune teller place, and it had tarot, like tarot cards, and saju. And I thought it was fascinating to see that that's not gone away.
Yeah.
that it's still here for this generation. Have you ever done saju or fortune teller? Is that
yeah,
a big
totally.
thing? Oh, really?
They're very interesting, like they can tell. They can tell. Yeah,
So you're definitely
I'm
an
not
F. You're a
really-
feeling person.
what? No, I'm just saying
Yeah.
but there are people who really still believes that there is a logic behind these fortune tellings, like 오행, 사주 오행, like stuffs, like when you
What's oheng?
first get out of your mom's
Mm-hmm.
body,
Yeah.
at that moment what do you say, 기운, the atmosphere,
Yeah, that would be atmosphere or the
the
conditions.
influence of the surroundings,
Yeah.
like water or fire, would get into you.
Gi is like the
Yeah,
ki,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
the
the
energy,
ki,
the life
yeah, the
force,
energy.
the chi. Yeah, okay. that
The
ki.
energy would
Yeah.
get inside of you
Yeah.
at the moment you have your first breath. And I didn't study for the 사주 오행 or 음양 오행, but I know there's a study behind the 사주, so I would definitely want to tell you if it's inauthentic or authentic,
Oh.
but I can't because I haven't studied for it. I don't know it.
Have you been to a fortune teller?
No.
No. Your eyes
I
lit up,
wouldn't
you-
pay for it, but
Okay.
I would see it online, or there's still some stuffs on the newspaper, like if you're a Yangti, or
You're born in the year of the sheep.
if you're Capricorn, or
Yeah, star sign.
yeah, star sign, or you're Sagittarius,
Sagittarius.
you would have good fortune today, like stuffs.
And if it's good, you believe it. And if it's
Yeah.
not good, you throw it away and check it tomorrow.
Yeah, but the fact that it's still in the official newspaper and they are being popular and they're being studied for a very long time, I think there's a reason behind it. So I don't think it's very necessary to shun this away from. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not necessarily that I'm shunning it or I only want things that are
Yeah.
based on hard science. I like stories and I like spirituality and mysticism. I just didn't expect to see them there in the middle of a brand new shopping mall. But I think that shows my misperceptions, because I think young Korean people maybe still do like fortune tellers. Not they believe it, but it's maybe a sign of fun, or it's a sign of just something to do if you're out on a date or if you're just with your friends maybe. Last semester, 2 of my students changed their name during the semester. And I thought that you're just nodding and going, yeah. And it's interesting to me. And that was based on luck and destiny, that if they changed their name, their life would be better. And so they came to me halfway during the semester and they said, David, my name used to be Cheju, and now it's Juwon. But they changed their name to give them better luck. And that probably came from a fortune teller or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's just their own personal beliefs. And
Yeah.
we do many weird stuffs based on many what we think is logic. Like some people kill another by thinking that it's a good logic. Like they can have a good logic. Yeah, it's their own beliefs.
Yeah.
They're
no.
not hurting anybody.
Do you know your star sign?
Yeah. I was really immersed in stars.
Okay.
Like I was really immersed in many things.
Yeah.
Yeah. And one of it was star signs. I studied astrology for a very short while. Yeah.
What does your name? Your name is Isu.
Yeah.
Choi Isu.
Yeah.
Choi Isu. Isu is not a hugely common name, is it?
Yeah.
There's Jisoo
It's
and
a
things
unique
like.
name.
It's quite a unique name. Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. It's very
It
memorable.
has a meaning too.
Are we allowed to
Yeah.
know the meaning of Isu?
Yeah, it's based on the Chinese characters.
Yeah.
It's 1월 리자에 지킬 수, which means protect the usefulness. 이로움? Do you know 이롭다? 이롭다. It has much more meaning than being useful. It has a meaning of making humanity good. That kind of usefulness. Yeah, protecting the useful. Maybe I'm living a life based on that name.
Yeah, maybe if they'd your parents had given you a different name, your life would be different.
Yeah, I think there's a fair good reason for that, because if I had a different name, like a common name, like what do we say? Oh,
Cholisu. No, Cholisu is the boy's name, but yeah, go on. Cholisu.
Cholisu. Yeah, if I had a name of Cholisu, then
Yeah.
then everybody would go like, if when I had in this life I have a name of Isu, and they would go like, oh Isu, what is your name? What does your name mean? Or, oh, your name sounds really pretty, like stuff like that. I get comments from people, and then I get influenced by that, and then I can live based on that name. Yeah, that is a fair logic. But if I had a common name like Charsu, then people would say, Charsu, your name is very common. Yeah. Did you ever wanted to change your name and stuff? Then I would be a little bit depressed. It's just an expectation, prediction. Yeah, just the imagination. Then it would affect me in some ways. Like, oh, maybe I'm not good. Maybe I'm not loved enough by my parents. Like, I have a common name, stuff. Not saying that common names are not getting loved by their parents, but yeah, they would have a little influence on you. And I think, yeah, there's a fair good reason behind naming a good name.
Have you thought of any names for your own children in the future?
I don't even have plans for kids.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's a long time in the future, I guess.
Yeah.
On this idea of on name. Oh, by the way, I've got a Korean name now.
Oh, what is it?
My Korean with a family name. The song is Nam.
Nam?
Nam.
Nam?
Yeah, because I'm Namja. And
really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the next part of the name is 대박.
Nam 대박.
Nam 대박.
Does it have a meaning or something?
It's just 대박.
Oh, really? Good. 대박.
Yeah, 대박. I was speaking to my daughter, Elizabeth, and I said to her, Elizabeth, your friend is coming round tomorrow. Her friend is Sua. And I said, Elizabeth, your friend is coming round tomorrow. That will be fun. And she looked at me and she said, Daddy, that's not my friend. That's my onni. And even it fascinated me, Isu, because even though she's only sort of 7 or 8, and we're speaking in English, so she does both languages, but she said, Daddy, that's not my friend. That's my onni.
Yeah.
And even from the age of 7, 8, she's already got this idea of there's a difference between, like, it's Sua, but it's not her friend, it's her onni. And the reason I'm going into this while we're talking about names is that Elizabeth is not allowed to call Sua. She calls her onni.
Yeah.
That's just what she does. And Sua calls Elia, like that. And so let me just find out who was asking you this question, which was Iris asked on Instagram, for your generation and your people, like the using of names and titles, now it's becoming more individual, more fragmented. Is it all still sombes and hubes and onnis and oppas, or is it all just now isus and jiwons and hires?
No, it still has onni and 선배. It still has the names. What do we call them?
I'm not sure. Just titles, I think,
titles.
aren't they? Yeah.
We still have the titles, and because it has been a very long culture to call someone older your 언니 or 오빠 or 형. But if somebody insists on calling you to be, I'm your 선배, call me your 선배, or something like that, they would be deemed as 꼰대. Yeah, if they really put that in, if they really strongly put that would be 꼰대. Yeah, even in Korea.
I want you to explain in your mind 선배 and then 건대. So
선배
first,
and
what's a
건대?
선배?
선배 is just practically older, somebody who's older than you, like in your age. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Does it imply any kind of different relationship, or is it just an older person? Because if there is, because I was trying to explain to some visiting people from New Zealand last week that if we're speaking in English, we can call each other Isu and David and things like this, and no problem. If we go to Korean, everything changes. Language changes, behavior changes. And so Sonbe is an older person, but it brings with it all different kinds of behavior and things. Like the tondemal, the honorific. Can you just, because I think some people listening to this, they might not live in Korea. They might not understand Korea. Like, how do you have to treat sonbes, or what is a sonbe?
선배 is like from a, like, not everybody who has an older age than you, just practically a older person in the same group, like in the same school or in the same workplace. Yeah, it's just practically a title. Like, you can call them 언니 or 형, but if it's in an official meeting, or it's the 선배 has more official atmosphere than 언니 or 형, and 꼰대 is different because it has a rude meaning to it. Like 꼰대 is much more of a demanding person. Yeah.
Gonde is like
it doesn't have to be an older person.
It can be a younger person.
Yeah, that's where the 젊건 comes in.
젊건,
which means young 꼰대. Yeah.
And I think gonde has become, because you were talking about this, gonde has become a term.
Are you a little hot right now?
I'm a little hot. No, I'm okay. Just keep going.
Disappeared.
This one.
Okay.
Don't make yourself too cold.
It's okay.
I wish I was in shorts and t-shirt today. I've had a busy day. Gonde is definitely a word that's becoming common. But Gonde's been around for a while. I invented the word shigon. Shigon. Yeah, shigon is, if you buy an Apple Watch or a Samsung Watch or something like this, have you seen these?
Yeah.
Like a Galaxy Watch, it will tell you to stand up and start exercising. Right? So you have
시계꼰대?
시계꼰대. Shigon. Yeah, that was a new term that I invented. Yeah, just gondes in society. But it's interesting to me that gondes can be young. And I think it comes from just having these different relationships with people in society. From having these fubes and sombes, and I'm still not used to it completely. This idea of people being above you and below you, people being titles, not being able to say somebody's name is very interesting to me, Isu. Like having somebody that you know very well, they might be one of your relatives, your sister-in-law, but you're not allowed to say their name. That's very interesting. They're always a title, but they can say your name. And it creates this very unequal position where one is a name and one is a title.
Yeah, you can put it unequal, but when Korea had a main religion as Confucianism, they would think these were not being unequal. These were like fairly justice, because you have to protect the elderly and make them feel like they have their own place in any society. Yes. And the reason I think this culture is still going on is because we deem I think it's because it's just a personal opinion, but I think it's based on this Confucianism that ages really matter in relationships. And and all of the person who has the same age shares a common atmosphere. So that is why we call our same other person in the same generation 동기, you know. 동기. This is my 동기, like that. It literally means the same energy. So I think we have this culture that each generation shares a common energy. And
did you still use all of these relationships at your Ewoo High School?
It was case by case.
Okay.
Yeah, some in a club.
Yeah.
When we doing a club, we would have third graders and second graders and first all of the graders. And some clubs would say, mostly all of the clubs in the most of the third graders in the club would say, "Oh, just call me 언니," or just call me by our names, and like that. But yeah, it was case by case. Some student didn't couldn't really handle the 부담 of calling them by their names, or that was me one time. Yeah, I was a secular person when I was in middle school, and then I went to high school, so it was a fair shock to me to not call them 선배.
That's the interesting thing about it. There's this, because it's not bad. I'm not criticizing it so much. I'm just trying to understand it. It's just different, yeah. And I think, asking you to explain it is a bit unfair, because sometimes it's hard to explain your own culture because it's so natural. Right? Because if you ask a fish, how is the water, the fish will look at you and say, what is water? You don't realize the environment you're in. Everything is so normal to you. And this idea you talked about, this 부담, this like burden, I guess. If you ask, sometimes if I ask a Korean, if they're younger than me, just call me David. In Korean, they say, 네, 교수님. I say, yes, professor. Like, you can't, even if they ask them to do it, it's still really hard.
Yeah, I still call you professor.
Yeah, there's this internal thing that kind of and like I say, it's not good, it's not bad, it's just different. And it's a very fundamental difference about Korean society. And someone, I want to try to get through some of these questions because I did like them. Somebody asked, this was from Julia, do young people want less Confucianism and less capitalism?
My answer would be less Confucianism and more capitalism.
Spoken like a true Korean Gen Z.
Because
good.
Less Confucianism is fairly simple, because there was once a time when 성리학 or 공자 Confucianism was a big religion in South Korea. Like, there was a very taught arguments between what is 이 and what is 기. Right. There was this kind of fiery arguments back in the Joseon dynasty.
It's kind of like the MBTI people, isn't it? Asking whether, it is the material force or the abstract principle. That's 이 and 기. In those arguments, it's kind of like the T's and the F's arguing.
It's very abstract. And I was having a hard time understanding those things when I was doing the admissions test. I studied ethics. And there were times that those kinds of Confucianism were very important, but nowadays, like, many alternative schools are being raised, and kind of a university that 주장 that stands for equality.
Yes.
Not that kind of an segregation between ages are getting raised up, and so less Confucianism nowadays, but more capitalism, because many Gen Z and millennials, and also you yourself said money. Like money is very important, and I think capitalism's main value is effectiveness, shortening the time to everything, and currently South Korea is having a trend of 워라밸,
work-life balance,
and 소확행. Oh my god.
소확행 is a small but definite happiness.
Yeah. Short, yeah, like in a
like just an ice
definite
americano
happiness
or
in a
something.
short time.
Yeah.
Very
Definite,
good,
isn't it?
Yeah, good for very standing up for effectiveness. And like many Koreans are wondering, like scheduling their spare times to struggling to make their spare times to a content in a YouTube channel and stuff like that. So I think more capitalism
is a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Before we go to capitalism, just with Confucianism, just to finish that, because Confucianism used to be like Li and Gi and abstract principles and philosophers arguing with each other and that. But now Confucianism you understand as like gechungs and hierarchies and relationships and order. And so for you, that is Confucianism in the modern day.
I think that those are the traces of Confucianism.
And so less of that. That's kind of hard to get out of Korea though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very difficult. And even now, I've been here longer and longer. I find myself becoming more Confucianism, more Confucianist. I find this idea of, this is from Chang Kyung-sop 교수님, of 양반화, the Yangbanization of society. We're all slowly becoming more and more like Yangban, and we have to bow to each other and use the nice language and things like this. It's very difficult, but it's very different from the way that I grew up, where you can just call people John and Peter and Samantha and Elizabeth, and here it's 예 교수님, 예 알겠습니다, 예. It's very different, but more capitalism. More capitalism. So socialism is not a thing amongst the youth here.
I think it's case by case, but less conversations. I expect. I think.
Is there anything about just while we're on money? There's this trend of being very frugal. There's this trend of not spending money much these days. You want like real value for money, so you want the big, cheapest coffee you can find. Or I know you don't drink as much coffee, but
I drink coffee.
Oh, you drink coffee?
Yeah, I drink cold brew or lungo.
Okay, you have very specific coffees that you drink.
Yeah.
How many are you on a day?
Not much.
Not much. Okay.
Once a month.
One coffee a month?
Yeah. Not that many. Like.
That's not many at all.
Yeah. I don't think it's necessary to put in so much caffeine.
Yeah.
Oh, I drink many tea, by the way.
Okay. 2 coffees a day for me, which I think is reasonable. So
2 coffees a day.
I guess you don't drink any sort of monster drinks or Red Bull or High Six or anything like that. That makes you quite unique, I think.
Yeah.
I see a lot of my students with Monster and energy drinks and things like this. And you know the interesting thing, Isu? It's the students with all the energy drinks that are always the most tired.
Yeah. You know, like the physicists, what do you say? The physicists were the most burdened people, they say.
What do you mean? Sorry, I don't understand that one.
심리학자?
the psychologists.
Yeah, psychologists. What did I say?
Physicists. It's all right. We got there in the end together.
Okay.
We don't have 2 apples. We have 2 ideas.
심리학자 were the most person who were most hurt. Yeah.
The psychologists have the most mental problems.
Yeah.
I can believe
that's
that.
how the world goes, I think.
I reckon Freud had a lot of problems with his mum or something like that. Yeah, absolutely. That must be like that. Yeah. We had a couple of list of questions here that we haven't done yet.
Let's go all of them. Or very quickly, I think.
Romance,
Uh-huh.
love. Korean people aren't having kids. There's all this stuff going on. I read an article which I'm not sure I agreed with, that the Barbie movie in Korea wasn't popular because feminism is so strong and all of this. And what's your take on love and romance amongst young Korean Gen Zs? Are we in a crisis of love here? Is it people have stopped falling in love, people have stopped dating, or that's just media talk and teenagers and 20s are still young and interested in all of that stuff?
I don't know all of the societal stuffs. Like, I don't know the whole picture, but as far as I've seen, I think most people are getting very wrong visions. Should I say that? Wrong visions about love, or yeah, they seem to have more personalized view of love. I said it very abstract, but to put it more specifically, I put it in a column. Like, there are two ways that the recently Korean Generation Z would view romance. They would first of all view romance as something out of a love program. Like, they would view a specific imagery, and see that as a love, hyper-real love. And the second is 낭만, which you said you couldn't.
Just on that first one, you mean it's like, so they'll watch a K-drama and see this beautiful depiction of love, or they'll watch a movie and they'll think, that's what love is. Love is that beautiful thing on screen.
Yeah, and and I had many friends who said that they didn't feel that kind of a connection, like those fluttery connections in that are described in K-dramas, and they think that wasn't love, and they would want to end this relationship because of that. Yeah.
If it's not Hyunbin standing there giving you the nunbit or something, then it's not real love, because it doesn't compare to the K-dramas.
Yeah, I think many people are spending the imagery as a love. Yeah. And the second one is a alternative love, which practically means finding your 취미, hobby, finding your hobby, and that is called 낭만 in Korean, which you said you didn't clearly understand. Yeah,
because it just means, but it means romance, but it doesn't mean romance. Yeah,
it translates into romance, but it doesn't really mean romance.
Yeah.
It means...
What does it mean, Isu? Come on, teach me, 낭만.
It means not... I think it means apart from realistic problems. Apart from it. Like we have many realistic problems and stuff, like debt. Don't have a debt, but debt, homework, or stuff I had to do for a job. But apart from those, I have this kind of my stuffs to do alone in my home. And that is like a hobby, but not a total hobby. It's like their 낭만, their romance. It's their own romance. Yeah. So I would define this 낭만. The dictionary says it means thinking apart from logic. Yeah, it says, it describes 낭만 as that, but I think 낭만 is the same thing as it described.
So there's things that you have to do in society, like there's your homework and there's your chores, and you don't have to pay taxes, I guess, but there's all these taxes. There's things you have to do, like 그냥 필수, obligations. But your 낭만 is the things at home, is like just watching YouTube is that
It
Nangman?
can be watching YouTube, but it's
Yeah.
more personalized. Like
Okay.
it
Like
has more personality, I think.
what? Okay.
Like, for example, being my Nangman, for example,
Yeah.
is sitting in front of a sun
Yeah.
when it's 2 a.m.,
Yeah.
2 p.m.,
Yeah.
and writing a diary. Yeah, that is my Nangman. It's more personalized than just watching YouTube. If a hobby is watching a YouTube, Nangman is more of a watching a specific content, like watching a fox video of, yeah.
I heard the word foxen today, that you have one ox and then the plural of, if you have many oxes, it's oxen. But if you have one fox, it's not foxes, it's foxen. What's
okay.
I like the sound of the word foxen. It should be a word. What's the difference between sohwakeng and nangman?
소확행 and
Because
Nangman?
sohwakeng sounds like writing your diary in the sun.
No.
No. You're saying definitely not, right? So, what's the difference between a sohwakeng,
It can
this
be.
small but definite happiness, and nangman, which is kind of this thing that you like doing that's very personal?
Yeah, Nangman is a thing you would like to do, but that is but more in a personalized way. But 소확행 is just I think it's not related. I think it's just a part. It's just different terms. Like 소확행 is just just having a definite happiness in a short period amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just or a small actions you take.
So if I like putting my feet up on my desk and reading books when I go home, so when I've done all the work and I've done all some grading, I've prepared some PPTs, I've done my emails, and I like to take off my shoes and put my feet on the desk and read books. That can be my nangman.
Yeah, it is. If you think it's your Nangman.
Okay. I think I slowly understand the word.
Yeah.
It feels very distant from the topic or the idea of romance, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It has a meaning of romance,
Yeah.
but it's not definitely a romance. Yeah. It's weird. Yeah.
It is weird, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that replacing romance in society?
Like many people nowadays in modern society are finding their own nangmans, I think. Like, I think some friend of mine thought that the term nangman was an excuse for not having a romance in their lives. Like, yeah.
I can't judge
too
it. I only
abstract.
just learnt the term, but yeah, okay. Is there, just before we move on, if we stay on romance, it feels ridiculous to ask, but I want to ask from your perspective as a Gen Z, dating and romance, it doesn't have to be about you personally, but with your friend group and the people around you, how does dating work for Gen Z in South Korea, and boyfriends and girlfriends and 선물 타는 것?
I don't really know because I have a very different perspective from I think I have a very different perspective from other Gen Zs, but I figure Generation Zs are deeming dating as some kind of marketplace, I think. I've read this from a book called The Art of Loving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know the book.
Yeah. We've done it in a
I think
class.
I might have introduced.
Yeah.
Yeah, in some of my materials. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think we are slowly becoming to deeming romance as a consumption. Consumption. Yeah, like we can replace our what do we say? Boyfriends and girlfriends
Mm-hmm.
as other persons if they have a better skill. Or yeah, I think we are becoming more and more viewing romance and love as judging people by their abilities, more of an instrumental beings rather than special beings by themselves.
Doesn't sound very romantic.
Yeah. Sounds like consumption.
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the capitalist element of it, where we're all looking for efficiency and productivity and things like this, that naturally some of it will bleed into love.
Yeah.
That will happen. I think it's only recently that people have started, marrying and dating for love. That's kind of a new thing. You have this idea that people have always fallen in love and they've married who they love, but that's kind of like a 20th century invention. Before that, there was lots of arranged marriages. You marry this person, you marry this person. You didn't marry or date who you wanted. You marry or dated who you were told. And love is this kind of... We're still dealing with love as a concept, I think, in society. It's still there. I forget who said it. A French thinker said that if we had never heard of the concept of love, we wouldn't fall in love. We fall in love because we think that's what we're expected to do. That's what we've heard about. But love is this thing that is played out in society. And love might be different in the future, just as it was different in the past. I don't know. It's weird. That also sounds very unromantic. Love is meant to be this beautiful, eternal thing that lasts forever between people. But I think it changes with society. Seems to me.
But the thing you said about love being romantic and eternally cannot be. Like it can't. 그게 아닐 수도 있습니다라는 걸 어떻게 말하지?
What, it can be like that?
Yeah, it can be or not be like that. Love can be some kind of a very daily lives, in our daily lives. Yeah, like you sparking up conversations and having a smooth transition can be meaning love for me, like that. Yeah,
it can be. I gave the 사장님 in here one of these apple juices when I came in because I hadn't seen him for a month. That could be love.
That could be love.
Yeah, that could be a form of love, I think. That could be a form of love.
Yeah.
I read this sentence in Nietzsche recently, Nietzsche. And I've been thinking about it for so long because I don't know the answer to it. I did ask an Italian professor. We were very drunk on Friday night. His name is Luca. And he said he agreed with it, but I'm not sure if he would agree with it when he was sober. The sentence was this. I'm sorry for giving it to you, but I want to think about it loudly, which was, there are no moral phenomena. There are no moral events. There are only moral interpretations of phenomena. So there are no moral events. There are only our personal moral interpretations of events. So nothing that happens is moral. The morality comes in our interpretation of these events.
I think that comes from relativism.
Yeah, it's a form of relativism. And it sounds kind of, but I'm not sure whether I agree with it or not, because I think about it and I'm like, yeah, I think that's true, actually. I think because I might see an act and I think it's immoral, and somebody else might see it and say that's very moral. Our differences, we might have different interpretations. And so I think it's right. Yeah. But then I think, no, there is morality, there is goodness, there is love, and there is beauty and feeling in the world. Yeah. And then I wonder if that's just me being old-fashioned and optimistic.
That is what I confuse on too. Like, yeah, if there is a absolute ethical truth, is there or is there not? Yeah, I confuse on that very lot. And I really I think I'm on the same page as you, because I read this once in a book called The Righteous Mind by Jonathan Haidt. Do you know this book?
It's a good book. I like it.
Oh, yeah. There was this social experiment on India citizens in this small country called I can't remember the name, but it started with O, and I think it had 6 or 5 letters in it, and I was really shocked when they said small violations like not wearing 교복.
Uniform?
Yeah, not wearing uniform to school. They deem it as like an absolute ethical wrongness. They deem it as that. They had a very strong sense of moral and kind of stuffs.
Yeah.
And I was really shocked, like what you have described. Like it seems that there is a difference between what is morality, but it seems like there can be an absolute moral truth. Yeah.
And those ideas of haircuts or uniforms or things, for example, in North Korea today, you know, appearance is a political act. Your haircut would be a political act. And
really?
it would be the same in South Korea during the 1970s or 80s if you had long hair or things like this. It was seen as not just a bad haircut, but it would be seen as traitorous to the nation, or you know, it would be seen as not just disrespectful but like really strong.
That was a moral that was once a moral
something, a moral thing that you should not do. I was looking at this one group of people, I forget where they were, I must apologize, but I think it was in Brazil, and the people there in this small tribe, they had no concept of numbers above 2 or 3. So they're one of the only people in the world that have no concept of numbers. So they have, like, just in terms of amount, they have a small amount, a medium amount, or a large amount.
Oh, that's really...
But they don't have
really
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And so if you put, like, and they did these experiments where they put, like, 3 metal poles down, and the people could match them, 3 metal poles. But if they put 6 or 7, sometimes they put 8, and sometimes they put 5. So it didn't matter the exact amount. They didn't have the concept of numbers. They hadn't been taught it. Their society didn't need it. Maybe we're coming at the question completely wrong, like, is there an absolute morality, or is it all relative? Maybe that's the completely wrong question. Do you know, maybe that's where we need interdisciplinary stuff. Maybe we need someone else to come along and go, that's the wrong way to think about it. You've got the hegemony all wrong. Or maybe it doesn't matter whether there is or there isn't. It matters whether you believe it, or it matters how it manifests. I'm not sure. One day we'll get to the bottom of this, but until then we'll keep thinking about it.
But it has been a really long history. Like, nobody figured... someone could have figured it out, but mostly everyone didn't knew.
I think, I mean, in that book, the coddling of the righteous mind, he wrote too, the Jonathan Haidt, he gives the example of the elephant, the rider on the elephant, right?
Was that based on Hume?
Yeah, I think so. We are, reason is but slave to the emotions. This idea of Hume, in that very good, Isu, that we have an emotional reaction to something, and then that leads us, and then we ad hoc afterwards, then we use the rationality. I think in terms of how you answer this question, are there moral phenomena? Is there an absolute morality? I think sometimes our answers might be generated by our emotional responses to content and culture, to books and to movies and to songs, and or to an experience in a mountain range or a cathedral or with a loved one, that we have this emotional response to something, and we use that as the basis for our answer. That's why I think if you have this vision of this society you were talking about earlier, that it would be really interesting to present it in art, to present it in song, to present it in poetry, because then that's what people resonate with.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way to communicate with people, with stories. Stories are a good way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we went from romance to Hume very quickly. I don't know how we got to romance and Hume.
Yeah. Does your subscriber have a large mind? Yeah.
I think everybody's different. But you do if you're quoting Hume at me. That's very good. Shall we hit some of these questions before we run out of time? Let's do this. Question from Silk Ink on Instagram, Isu.
Mm-hmm.
What are your main worries and your main pleasures?
As a Gen Z or as a personal?
I think either, but it would be interesting, I think, because we've been quite personal as Isu. Your main worries, your main pleasures, as a young person in society, as an individual, not as a statistic.
I think my personal worries or pleasures are really influenced by how Korean Generation Z are thinking, because capitalism, yes, I I worry a lot about how to not live outside and how to live a stable life. These are my main worries. And my main pleasures, this can be personal, come from when I'm being authentic. Yes. It's all about personas, I think. When you it's really hard to be authentic in universities. You have to censor out those radical thinking of yours. Yeah, it can be a manner to some people, and it should be a manner in some ways, but being authentic and having to have my own time and having a catharsis by myself, that is a main pleasure of mine.
So you do a lot of self-censoring when you're in society?
Not
you see these
many.
like radical thoughts or something at university. It's just these things that you want to say, but you don't because it's impolite, or people will take it the wrong way.
Not kind of that way. Like, I'm relatively more open, like saying much more stuffs than other people, other students. But sometimes those kind of stuffs, what I'm passionate about, what I'm like, my pedagogy and stuffs doesn't interest other people that much, or doesn't affect them that much. So I just keep it to myself. And, oh well, that's my pedagogy, and you can live your own way. And it's hard. I think what I'm saying is it's hard to find people who's passionate about sharing ideas in this in this country. I don't think I'm not trying to 일반화,
generalize.
Yeah.
Do you think people, is it a lack of passion? Is it a fear? Or is it just their passion is to have no passion? So you find this this inability to, because I'm similar. I love having long conversations. It's
righteous
just,
minds.
Yeah, that kind of thing. But I enjoy it because I feel that you can get into someone's head that way, and you can find out what's going on with people, and you can explore ideas beyond surface level. Not everybody's like that, though. Definitely not. Do you think that the people around you are not like that because they're scared to have ideas, that they might get criticized? I mean, like cancel culture and being wangda can be quite serious. I think, is it they're scared? Is it just they have no passion? Is it just 그냥 사바사? It's just MBTIs and personalities?
I think it's 복합적.
그건 뭐예요?
Complicated?
복합. Yeah.
I think it's. I don't think we can define the reason, definite reason for this. Like what I've heard in the other class from a professor, she said that many phenomena don't have a definite reason. Like they're all the citizens or the political stuffs or the scientific environments are all merged into a one story. So you can blame on one subject entirely for that. So I really stand with this opinion. Like, the students can be or cannot be passionate, but the reason behind can be that the pedagogy of our society was not that good enough. Like they weren't evoking communications between human people, and the reason behind that pedagogy can be because our society has had a very fast growth in a short amount of time.
Right.
So I don't think we can make one reason for that phenomenon. Yeah, if I had been in another school, another high school, another than alternative, like if I had been in a general high school, I would have not been here. Yeah, right. I would have been a very quiet student in a university, just studying whatever professor gives me.
Any thoughts of becoming a teacher, Isu?
I had.
Yeah, you
and
had, but what?
And I'm having it.
Yeah.
But my main project, main goal is to build this future environment. Yeah. As I said before.
Yeah. No, I love it. I support
and
this
maybe
plan of yours.
if I'm over with this project, maybe I can become a yeah, I really
Once you've
like
changed
teaching
the world,
stuff.
then you become a teacher.
Because my main focus is on changing the environment.
It's very rewarding to be a teacher. Because you see people change. You can change people as a teacher.
Yeah, but some people don't really change.
That's because all the good people don't become teachers, Isu. They go off doing different things. If more good people became teachers, then the pedagogy would be more widespread. But no, keep going with your vision. That's a good thing. Does it have a name yet? We keep coming back to this.
What name?
Your vision for changing the environment, this place where people can all talk to each other, creating a new a 새로운 동네 or something, like a new neighborhood or something.
I don't really have a name. It feels very burdened to have.
Yeah, it's got to have a name though. The names might change over time. What do you think it will be called?
It would be very boring. Sustainable and a friendly environment.
Yeah.
Sustainable and friendly 의식주, which means habitant and...
Do you know what sustainable and friendly environment spells as an acronym?
Sustainable, friendly environment. SFE.
Sustainable and friendly environment spells...
Safe.
Spells safe. Safe, man. Safe.
Ooh.
Yeah, it works. It works in some ways.
Did you thought of that right now?
You thought of it. I didn't think of it. You thought of it. That was your word.
Oh my god, I'm a genius.
Yeah, somewhere in there. Your pleasure is doing that. Your worry, just to come back to this, your worry is money.
Yes.
Worry is money. It's personal talk about money, I guess, but is it getting? I mean, because Korea's rich, it's got this Samsung, and in the past there was such poverty, and people would ask me, "David, 밥 먹었니?" Like, did you eat, and things like this. This was when I first came.
Was that really from poverty?
Well, I'm not sure if it was, but there was genuine poverty in the country.
Okay.
People used to greet each other. People don't do that anymore.
No, they do.
Oh, really? They
yeah.
still do that?
If I didn't have lunch, they would catch me for lunch. Then we should have one together.
Yeah, we should have lunch together. But I think people used to just say it as kind of like an insa.
Yeah, it's like a
Do you know,
general
I worked out the word. I was studying my Hanja, my Chinese characters the other day. And the word insa means people work. And it feels like that sometimes, doesn't it? Like greeting or meeting people, going out in society, it feels like work sometimes. When you're feeling particularly introverted, when you're at home, like going out and meeting people and shaking hands and doing these things, the insa하는 것, the greeting, it feels like people work sometimes.
Oh, the Chinese character means...
Yeah, it means people work. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. But money for you is the problem.
Yeah.
Because it seems so rich and it seems like this place is amazing now.
The Korea? Yeah, but as we've said it before, work-life balance and 가생, like we should have a stable future behind us, so we could. I think the reason behind this is because we're all afraid of failures, getting out into these outside, not having a home, not having a safe home to safe'n us. Yeah.
Do you have a part-time job?
No. My parents
Congratulations.
my parents don't like me having a job so early because they think I can use my time more worthy than doing labor in a very young age. Yeah, okay.
I think that's quite common here.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people don't have part-time jobs here.
Oh, no, they have.
Okay.
Well,
obviously,
I
some people do have part-time jobs because they're working in coffee shops and convenience stores, and people do have part-time jobs. I just feel like there is a focus for people to study more. Don't have a part-time job because you should be studying. You should be focusing either on your Suneung exam or your studies or things like this. So even if people aren't very rich or very poor, the focus should be on education, not doing a part-time job. That's what I feel from my perspective in society.
But yeah, this is case by case. Like
sure.
That could be a general meaning by making young people do not have a part-time job. But I think my parents were aiming at making me a strong person by myself, like read many books as when you have time.
Nice.
Yeah.
What are you reading at the moment?
At the moment,
what have you read recently?
I'm reading a comic book of a 세종 왕족실록, you know.
Okay, King Sejong the Great. Yeah.
They're the 기록,
like the records,
yeah,
or the memory, the annals or something.
The records of the Joseon dynasty, as in comic, and it's really fun. But I'm a Gen Z, so I spend time in SNS. So not very into reading, but I'm trying to. Yeah.
It's good to read something. It's good to have, that habit, I think. We all want to, like, we go to the shop and we buy 5 books, or we get some books and then we sit down and we put on some music. We light a candle and then we sit there with a book. No, but this is the image I have of students and young people when I tell them to read, and reading's brilliant. They go and get a book and they get all set up and they read for about 2 minutes and then they're like, and they're tired and they can't do it anymore. But that's natural. The first time you read 2 minutes, that's the second time you read 3 minutes, and then the third time you only read 1 minute and you go backwards.
Yeah, but the 작심삼일.
Yeah, but then you keep going and it becomes easier.
You have to have a muscle for reading.
I think so. I
Yeah.
think so. Or you need to have a subguan, or you need to have this thing that you just do it. You just do it. My parents made me. They didn't make me, but they encouraged me. We grew up quite affluent. We had, we grew up very comfortably. I've had a job since I was 14.
Oh,
I've been working since I was 14.
that's very young.
Yeah. Is it even you're meant to work from 16, but I had paper rounds. Then I
Yeah.
worked down the docks. Then I worked in like electronic shops. I worked on the boats. I've seen so many different things. That's why when sometimes people ask me, David, is it okay to do like 10 hours of lectures a day? I'm like, this is so easy. Like,
yeah, piece of cake.
Genuinely, compared to what I've done in the past.
It seems to.
Because I've done so many like of those jobs and met so many people, lecturing and television and radio is just so easy compared to that. I think it's important sometimes to work. I think you need to do jobs that suck to make you realize the good things that you have.
I really see the both sides of what my parents are saying and what you're saying. Yeah, but but it's really hard to do the labors.
Yeah.
But I have to because, like what Nietzsche says, what gives you pain gives you growth. What doesn't kill you gives you growth.
Yeah.
So those kinds of experiences are really necessary. I think it is, but it's so hard.
I think that's the point, that it's hard, that it sucks.
And I think Generation Z is the most omsal. You know omsal?
I know jasal. What's omsal? Is it
It's not suicidal.
No, okay, no.
It
What's
doesn't mean
omsal?
death.
Yeah.
It means like there was only a short, small pain, but the reaction to that pain was like, oh, it really, really hurt, man, like that. Yeah, that is called omsal in Korea.
What does the because like there's momsal, so what's is it completely different? What's the What's the
I think the suffering, the sal, meaning suffering.
Yeah, I get
has
the
the
sal part.
same meaning
What's the
with momsal and omsal and jasal.
Yeah.
But omsal, 엄숭 떨다. Do you know? yeah, never mind.
Yeah. You just looked at me and you were like, no, you're not gonna. I knew Gusongju이. I got one right for you. That's
really
a pretty good
fantastic.
one. That's a pretty good one.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, 점점. I'll get there in the end slowly.
엄살 is like fussing. Do you call that
being
fussing?
flustered or something.
Having a big reaction.
Yeah.
But when it's a really small stuff that's influencing you.
I get it.
I think Generation Z is relatively having more omsal than other generations.
I see that in that I think here we go into Latin and Maya back in my day, that I feel that society is becoming safer, and I know our perspectives might differ, so I'm going to respect your position. I feel like society is generally becoming safer in terms of there's less pyantes on the subway, there's less sort of sexual predators touching and groping people, there's less violence in the streets. I think society is much safer than in the 90s and in the 80s and in the 70s. People used to smoke on airplanes and things like this. It was very different. But I think society today is safer, but people feel more pulan or anxiety. I that's the sense I get. And I don't know if this is too much gobaek or something or TMI, but you spoke to me about a fear of being out at nighttime.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you speak maybe a little bit about your fear or your anxiety or about safety?
I think this fear relates to fragmentation, because some people like these days recently many random killings are happening around in South Korea. And those people had really radical opinions about feminism or radical beliefs. Yeah, and I think this relates to the Generation Z's fragmentation. Like, people are getting really fragmented, and they have their own strong beliefs by themselves and not trying to communicate with others to check if they're having a good opinion or not. Yeah, because this generation is being fragmented. I'm using fragmented very much, but being fragmented. These kinds of people with radical beliefs are appearing and doing this random killings. What was I going for?
And you genuinely feel quite scared.
Yeah, I think there are appearing new kinds of unsafetyness based on this personality trait of the new generation.
By the way, once you go home, you'll think of all these different synonyms for different words for fragmented.
Yeah.
You'll start seeing them, but only once the podcast is finished, then you'll see the new words. That's the way. That's the way that always works. Is it a gender thing? Is it related to gender? Now you're a young woman. Does that increase the fear? Does that increase it, or do you think it's?
I think it increases the fear because I'm a woman. I kind of wish I can be a man in some circumstances.
What kind of man would you be?
I don't think there is a kind of a man. I just wish I had another sexuality when there's circumstances like going in small
alleys,
streets,
streets, sorry,
and dark alleys and stuffs. When I'm having a meeting with a group of men that I haven't met before, that I don't have an insight. I wish in those circumstances I can be a man. Because I would feel safer with those sexual harassments and and there are people out there that has very different wrong beliefs about feminism. Like feminism is all about equality, but there are some people who argues that feminism is a kind of a theory that the perspective that says woman is more greater than men, but that is totally not what feminism is standing for. And because there are many people who have strong beliefs against and wrong beliefs about feminism, the fact that I am a woman makes me unsafe at some times.
It's kind of it's depressing or sad that people would feel unsafe in society, because I think that's the minimum that we should give people, that you can feel safe. What does feminism mean to Isu? This is an explosive. I was not sure that I should use the word with you, because feminism in Korea can be quite an explosive word.
Yeah, but
I'm personally quite comfortable
that's
with
a
it.
really wrong phenomenon to happen. But I read many books about feminism, and it definitely says it's about equality and not about feminine. Even if it says feminism. So I don't know why you asked me the personal meaning of feminism, but
well, in my classes, I teach 6 different. No, go on, you speak.
What I've studied is it's all about equality.
No, I completely agree. The idea of liberal feminism, that men and women deserve political, cultural, social, legal equality, and that our gender or our hair color or our eye color or our skin doesn't matter, that we should be equal before the law and equal in society. Absolutely. That idea of liberal feminism is very big. There's also Marxist feminism, there's standpoint feminism, post-colonial. There's many different theories of feminism, Isu. One of the questions that I ask my students when we cover feminism is kind of, are men and women the same, or are men and women different? Can we ever understand each other? Can we ever, can a man understand a woman? Can a woman understand a man? Or does our biology make us kind of different creatures? And I think that's a very... What I've noticed is that in Korea, many people focus on the biological differences. And I think this comes from Confucianism. That men and women are different, they have different biologies, they should be kind of treated a little bit differently. And whereas Western Europe has this liberal approach that doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, we all have like a rational mind and we can communicate with each other this way. And I find it fascinating. I've asked students here in class, can men and women be friends? Can men and women be friends, Isu?
Absolutely.
I think so, yeah.
What do you mean by friends? Like they can understand each other?
Just be friends. Can a boy and a girl be friends?
Yeah. They can be. Like what you've said. I think men and women are different and they are same. Like it coexists. Like they're biologically different. I understand that. But there can be a difference based on that biological stuff, biological facts. They can be friends because I have many male friends back in my high school. But when I think backwards, like in middle school, when I was in general schools, I don't think I had a male friend. Yeah, I had one, but not many. So I think the atmosphere, the Korean atmosphere, is making us feel that male and female cannot be truly friends.
Yeah, I think education and culture, and even if you ask in England or Western Europe, not everybody would say yes. There'll be many people that would say no. Yeah. I think it's a difficult question, but just my experience is that more people in Korea would say no. That they tell me about 어떤 깻잎 전쟁 or something.
Yeah, 깻잎 논쟁.
Yeah, 깻잎 wars and all. I've heard all the stories, the reasons why boys and girls can't be friends. So I don't try to change people's mind. I just say, okay, that's your opinion. I get it, right? I kind of feel a little bit differently, but maybe that's the way that I grew up. That of course, boys and girls can be friends. Yeah, I
can totally relate to that because what I've said before, I've been in a general schools and I hadn't had many male friends. They were just viewed as males, I think.
I'm so going to go home and check out this, hang on, Ewoo High School.
Yeah, it's spelled in English, EWOO. EWOO.
It looks, it sounds it sounds bubbly and cute and round. Yeah. It doesn't have any sharp edges.
Yeah, the logo is really roundish too. Yeah. Roundy.
There's one psychological experiment where they have two shapes and one is very angular and one is very bubbly, and they ask people to say which one is kiki and which one is something like boo-boo.
Yeah.
And linguistically, people always say the sharp-edged one is kiki, even though the words...
Absolutely, because
the sound.
How people think.
Yeah. And so Ewoo.
Yeah, Ewoo.
Yeah, that's a good one. Let me see. There was one more question here, and this is from... Who was it? Who asked this one? I didn't write it down.
It's okay, we got you in the...
Yeah, we'll put it there in the subtitles. I did write it down. It's from Lisi, but then also Yangu put a comment on it, and it was this: what do Gen Z do in their free time apart from go to cafes?
Why
Else,
cafes?
I don't know, but somebody else commented going, yeah, I want to know this one too.
Really?
Yeah, so this was a question. What do Gen Z do in their free time apart from go to cafes?
Yeah, I can see why they wrote cafes, because in many K-dramas, the students go to cafes and they study, and there's 가공족. And do you
어떤
know
족?
가공족?
가공?
Yeah, 카페에서 공부하는 종족. Yeah,
정족 뭐야?
tribe. A tribe
족,
that,
yeah, orange 족, 건족.
yeah. A group that studies in a cafe for so long. They use the cafe's energy, the electricity, and Wi-Fi connection. Yeah.
Stay in there a long time with one drink.
There are many 가공족s around there.
가공족.
Yeah, 가공족. Yeah, it's a new. I think it's a fairly new phenomenon happening. Yeah, 가공족.
Are you a 가공족?
No.
No.
I'm a home person. Yeah, I don't really get outside that much. That's why you said. That's why you assigned me an assignment that I have to go out and talk in the wild.
I want to speak to you about this assignment. This is so I gave you various assignments last semester. Not official assignments, but just things to do.
Oh, but first we have to answer this
We
question.
will come back to that, but this is really important to me because it's about you. And I said you did all of your stuff, your reading and all of the things. You sent it to me, and it was clear you did it at home. So I told you I want you to go outside and do something. And you did it. But while you were talking about being outside, you said to me, and I've never forgotten this actually. You said, "Is it because you're trying to make me not become a murderer?"
Yeah.
Like in the Dostoevsky book.
Yeah.
So I remember, and I'm sitting there going,
my favorite book.
This has nothing to do with making you not a murderer or not kill. Where is this coming from, Isu? But it really surprised me. I had no intention of not making you a murderer or a Rashnikov.
No, I was not aiming for that meaning.
But that's what you were talking about. It really kind of shocked me.
No. I have this is my personal reason for having to have a communication between various people is because it's based on this teachings I've learned from the Crime and Punishment. Choi Isu. That is my own and personal reason of why we have to communicate, because some people might have radical beliefs and ideas. They have to bring it out to other people and check if they are being check other people's beliefs and think about their own beliefs and what their beliefs influence other societies, their societies and other people. Yeah, that is. But in the Crime and Punishment, the main character didn't seem to have that kind of a communication, even if he was a very good expert on in a university. He was a student, but he committed crime in the end. That because of this personal reason.
So the reason it's amazing to me, because now I understand the reason we should talk to each other is to make society safer. It's that when we create wangtas or loners or isolated people that don't have community, people that aren't connected, that we create problems and trouble. So that need for connection and communication is not just some kind of utopian vision or it's good to talk, but it's actually preventing people from going off the moral deep end and committing heinous crimes. There's a safety aspect to it, which I'd not considered until now I learnt this.
Now you've brought it up. I think it's a new aspect of communication.
If you could, we will come back to this question. If you could have a conversation with anybody, who would it be? dead or alive. It's a very kind of like old-fashioned question, but you can have a
Yeah.
conversation with anybody. Dead, alive, superhero, or literary figure. Or...
I think I would be more afraid to not able to communicate very well with my knowledge, my narrow knowledge.
Oh, come on. You've quoted at me, like, this student that never went abroad or international school. You've quoted Hume, Nietzsche, Dostoevsky,
because I'm
Jonathan Haidt.
interested in
Yeah.
communication and social and philosophy and human.
And tomorrow by Together. Let's not pretend that it's all just philosophy. Like, but any idea? Who would you talk to? What would be an interesting conversation?
From my short knowledge, I would say Yeonjun from Tomorrow by Together. No, there's a reason behind that.
Go on.
Like the fandoms.
Yes.
I deem the fandoms are very similar to consumption. What I've said before, like
Yeah.
love is becoming a consumption. Like we're spending the imagery of love as a love and pretending that we are in love. And fandoms are very similar to that. Like idols are a fictive character to make your hearts flutter or something. And and the idol community, the idols are based on these fantasy by the fans. So I would want to talk to Yeonjun and really get to know what person this is, because when you talk to a person about 10 minutes, you can figure out the atmosphere of that person, the authentic the authentic shadows, the authentic.
You're going back into young again, aren't you? Beyond the persona.
Beyond the persona.
Yeah.
So I would want to really get to know this idol.
어떤 영준? 김영준? 박영준?
No. It's Yeonjun. 니은 받침 in 연.
Okay, yeah. That's what I had originally.
Yeah. Yeonjun and Choi, same as mine.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
You know, Jacques Lacan, the psychoanalyst.
Yeah.
Lacan. I'm not sure if you know Lacan.
I think I've heard.
Anyway, he said that it's basically it's persona all the way down. There is no authentic self. There is no authenticity in us. Everything is a persona.
Yep.
You take away the persona or you take away the mask and there's another mask. There's another persona. There is no authenticity. This is just Lacan, and Zizek goes down this idea as well, but they believe there is no authenticity beneath us.
I think that goes the same with Burgyo.
Buddhism.
Oh yeah, Buddhism.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they are like, oh, there is, but there isn't.
Yeah. Get rid of the ego.
There are these egos, but if you go inside, there isn't.
I love the fact that you could speak to anyone in the world and it would be Choi Yeonjun. That's brilliant, because I think that's an honest answer.
Narrow knowledge.
No, but that's an honest answer.
Maybe some other version of me in the multi-universe would pick Einstein or Obama.
That would be boring. You would just sit there and do nothing. You just take a selfie and put it on your Insta, and that would be finished. But I'm sure your conversation with Yeonjun would be more interesting. I'm gonna Google him, by the way, as soon as I get out, try to get to know him. What did Gen Z do in their free time apart from go to cafes? We didn't get there.
Yes.
Oh, I learned 가공적, but you are 집공적.
Yes.
You're 집공적.
Yeah, because studying in cafes are very noisy than you expect.
Yeah,
there are many happenings around. Yeah, but going to the question, what do we do in spare time? Yeah, I'm sorry, but it seems to be an obvious. As I've said, many Gen Zs are trying to make their spare times to a content in a YouTube, you know, like planning a camp, but they're not just planning a camp for their spare time. They're planning a camp, but they're planning to what shots they will take on their camping and what atmosphere they would put in their videos, and they would post it and they would make money out of it. Yeah, I think that's a typical example of Gen Zs doing in their spare time.
Do you have a YouTube channel?
No, I wanted to, but I figured out that I don't have a smart 처신 to influence people. I don't have what it takes, not yet, to influence other people.
For anybody just listening, Isu is just constantly looking at the camera in this room now. So I think she's a natural YouTuber.
Oh, no, I wasn't staring at...
It's not a criticism. Yeah, I'm saying you're naturally... You do it very naturally.
Yeah, but I wasn't looking at the camera.
You're talking to people.
Before the Q&A.
Oh, okay, so you're answering. But I've seen you in front of cameras before. You're very natural.
Yeah, because my club was a theater club back in the high school. Yeah, I'm really interested in acting. Yeah. And performing and communication.
Do you know the difference between Stanislavski and Brechtian acting?
No.
I'll teach you one day. It's very interesting, the difference between the two. It's like Li and Gi, basically. There are two modes to acting.
That would be complicated.
Yeah, no, it's very easy.
Really? Oh.
What other kind of vlogs are there? So there's camping vlogs, which is very... Because I wouldn't imagine Korean camping. Are there any other kind of YouTube contents that Gen Z are making that we might not have seen?
There are all sorts of vlogs, like studying vlogs, study with me, and...
I see they're really
eating
popular.
mukbang, mukbang, and they make all sorts of their 낭mans to contents. Like
I know what that means now.
Yeah. they can make anything to contents. Like, yeah.
And is you think the desire is to make money from it? That it's like a financial thing. It's not just a show off thing. It's like a new job.
Yeah, this can be my personal opinion, but I think it's based on the benefits you earn from those activities. Like, yeah.
I think Korea is really popular these days. So if you're a Korean person and you put stuff online, I think there's people all over the world that will be clicking and such. I really genuinely believe that.
Yeah, but I do believe that could happen, but what is more important to me is having a substantial stuffs I could send to people, like not just being fun and energetic and being all kinds of...
I like the way you shake.
Yeah, I don't like spending imagery, just spending imagery. Yeah. If I would have to spend an imagery, I would want to put a knowledge or something that anyone can share with it. Yeah, but I don't have that capacity right now, so...
You should give EU education to people that haven't been fortunate enough to receive it through your online thing. That's quite an interesting idea, to share what you have learned with other people. I've also come across the idea, which I think there's so much validity in it, that the most personal is the most universal. The most personal is the most universal.
Why?
The thing that resonates the most with the most amount of people is the personal stuff. Like if you try to do this message or this content or this story that reaches everybody and it's really all encompassing and all embracing and loving, it doesn't get anybody. The stuff that really moves people is the stuff that's only true to you. The more personal you are about your stuff, the more honest about your stuff, and it's about you, the more people it will touch. And that's what happens, that if you wanted something to go big, or if you want something to have a great impact, the more personal it is, the more chance of that is. Everybody tries to do something that will appeal to everybody, and then it misses. But if you want something that appeals to everybody, it's got to be really personal. So there's a paradox there. To become universal, you have to become personal first.
But I think the conveying is also important, because BTS also writes personal stuff on like loving yourself. Like that wasn't very brought up in the industry before, but they convey it with various, like, very good.
They're hot Korean men. I think that helps.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
the conveying is also important. Like, personal things important, but you have to convey those in an attractive way. But I can't seem to find that attractiveness. Why? Where does this attractiveness come from? Like, that is my question.
Yeah, I think that's one of those things that you don't look for it. I think BTS became more attractive the more famous they got. I think if you look at early photos of BTS and things like that, even when they debuted or even before the debut, these were not always, like men that would make you stop and look back in the street. As they got more famous, they did that. And I'm not sure the message is particularly deep or meaningful. Love yourself, irrespective of your gender or sexuality. To me, it seems like a very 당연하죠, like a very granted message, but I think it's more to do with their position and who they are and their influence rather than the message itself.
Okay.
I don't mean to criticize them. I think they do a good job. I played Jungkook's new song in the car for my children.
Yeah,
I didn't realize it was the dirty version. I didn't realize it was the dirty version.
There's many versions of that song.
Yeah, but the official version, that's what I played, and I was like, oh, Jungkook's got a new song, it's in the charts, let's play that. And then I was like, kids, I don't think you should be listening.
You should have done the clean version.
I should have known, BTS and their personas and things like that. So Gen Zs, they do that. They don't go to cafes, but they make vlogs. Yeah,
they make vlogs. They try to make contents out of their spare time. And many people try to kill their time by watching smartphones. Many Gen Zs do that.
I wrote it down on my phone. Jongmin was telling me, she was showing me something on her phone, and as soon as she turned her phone just 1 centimeter, I couldn't see anything on the screen.
Yeah.
It was 어떤 안전보험 film or something.
Yeah, I don't know really much about it, but my sister has that. Like, I think it's the iPhone or the cover.
It's if you look at a phone, you wouldn't notice anything different about it. But the plastic covers that we put around the side to protect it, it's this special kind of one. I can't remember the exact name she told me. 어떤 safety film. Anyway, you can't see it from the side. So if you're sat next to somebody on the subway,
but Samsung can be shown by anybody.
You can see anything. Yeah.
But
on these phones, you put the cover on and you can't see anything. It's just dark.
It's not about Samsung or iPhone. It's about the
I think
stickers,
it's the cover that you stick on, or the film. I'm not sure. Yeah, that's.
I want to have one of these. Privacy.
Privacy is really important for Gen Zs. Just because we need to close this up now, Isu, because we've done 3 hours. What didn't we say? Do you have any last words? Is there anything last message or a last idea or something that I should talk about next? Close this out for me. You can have the last word.
I don't really have much stuff to say. But I think our conversations were not really focused on Generation Z. It was all over the place. But to wrap it up, I think I have to say this to people watching out there. 꼰대 can be anyone. Like if you're young, even if you're young, if you're old, you can be a 꼰대. And 꼰대 means stressing a certain persona and making everybody hurting anyone else. Does that make sense? Yeah. So we should always be careful to not be a 꼰대, and yeah, that is all I have to say.
No, I love it. What's one thing that we can do to stop being a gonde? Is there a specific action? Is there a, like, don't be a gonde is good, but is there something we can do to stop being a gonde? Is there something?
I think there is. You have to. It's really 당연한. It's really obvious. But you have to understand the fact that you can be wrong. Like, many people who stress their opinions for too long or too strong has this kind of a 압박.
Father.
No.
Mentality?
No. Stress.
Oppression.
Yeah. They are very oppressed to. They are very oppressed to think they are right in every situation and they have the answers to every situations. And yeah, you can, but you have to understand the fact that you can be wrong, and there can be other people who has the better ideas, and you have to understand another fact, that we are searching for someone who we aren't searching for someone who has the right answers. We are searching for what is right, what value is worthy. So yeah, if we understand these two facts, I don't think anyone could go wrong with being a 꼰대.
A world without gondes. We'll get there eventually, and then it will be safe. Isu, thank you.
Thank you for calling me.
Relax, we're done. That's it.
From the reverberation of
I've been waiting days for all these names to read them papers. I try to get greater, breathing vapours, but the world is getting tasteless, vapours. I'm wasted on my favourite piece of lazy beast behaviour. Ceased in spaces weak, I need my lightsaber. The violence is the pluses and the minuses, the crosses. The whiter skins, the losses, and the wider things. What being an insider brings. Uses are the brighter hits, but uses all of our sins, and how we fall apart again. Wishing revolution starts with listening what they said. It starts not missing all the wishes, but persistence in your head. Your mission is to give them recognition, help them winning, and living for a better life, existence daily bread. I've been fighting all my life and I've been working for my people. Lift them up, I raise them up, I show them skills that make them lethal. Conquering the game and give them hope to be a name. For me, it starts with being equal, it ends with beating evil.
I feel a shot on my back.
And find heroes, ghosts and mysteries. So take a book and have a look and check up on your history. Self-reflecting, we're progressing. Yes, they're blessings manifesting, and we're stepping to this question while we're guessing. We try hiding all our lies and we like looking in the mirror. We've a heart attack, smile. I wish that we were thinner. Come on, needs to make me sane. Filter all my pain. For me, it starts with being equal. It ends with you a winner. Living lies while the dirty build Jerusalem. Oldies hating and they're stealing, just abusing. Then we lose again.
when we shoot back.